Okay, so I want to welcome everybody here to Mac Products. We are a three-generation family-owned business that designs and manufactures products for electrical infrastructure throughout North America, and we do a tremendous amount of business here in the state of New Jersey. We have been doing this now for over 60 years. My father-in-law, who's in the audience today, is the founder. He started this business 60 years ago. And sitting next to him is my son, Henry. So he's the third generation of the business, which, as my wife tells me, he's my retirement plan. And by the way, I apologize for the heat and everything else. And if I said this, I'm going to pretend I didn't say it, but I think we might need air conditioning in here, Ed. And as I said, and I've been talking with the people who have been walking around our shop here, our company started with 3 people when my father-in-law started the business. And at that time, all we were doing were making lugs and connectors, which are used to terminate wires and cables for electrical power products. But over the years, this company has evolved tremendously, as you can see from this heavy technical product that we currently manufacture. And this is just one of about 14 different verticals or product lines that we design, manufacture, in some cases maintain for some of our customers. And we have a very strong commitment here to the state of New Jersey. As I said before, we've been here for 60 years, and we plan to be here for at a minimum 60 more. This is why we have multiple generations of the family in the business, and it's truly not just our family that has multi-generations in this business. I think that's a testament to how good a company this is to work for, and the culture that started with my father-in-law building it and then passed on to me and now to my son, Henry. And my son-in-law, who's not here today, he actually started working here about 2 months ago. But these things are all extremely important to the success of any business. The business doesn't exist without the people. And as I said before, we have not only our family, but other family members who are here with multiple generations. One thing of really, really strong importance is the involvement that the company has had with the NJMEP. And we've probably been doing this, various programs with them over the last 20 years. And I've had the pleasure of working with John Kennedy before, and also the various other people who have been with the MEP. We've gotten multiple grants over the years for education, continuing education for our staff, which is so important to New Jersey because, as you can well imagine, competing in New Jersey, when you're competing against other states and you're competing against other manufacturers, we need to upskill our staff in order to do higher value add things for the company to make us competitive. And the MEP has been able to support us in those efforts by getting our staff educated on things that they need. So we certainly appreciate that partnership and thank you for that. The other thing, of course, that I want to mention is the NJMVP program, which we were a beneficiary of for some advanced manufacturing technology. And we knew we had a need for this piece of equipment. It was quite expensive, and when the program came up that the governor announced a few years ago, we immediately got contacted by the MEP. They were the ones that made us aware of it and said, hey, I think you guys really should apply for a grant. What do you have that you have a need for? Well, we knew we needed this machine to help us with the throughput of a specific product line. Since the day that we bought that piece of equipment and that we got the grant from the state, our business for that one product line has grown exponentially. And it has really been important, not only for what we've done today, but what we see happening going forward. This machine supports our manufacture of products that are supporting new electrical infrastructure in New Jersey and all over the country. A lot of it has to do with renewables, whether it's offshore, solar, or what have you, but there is a major need for this infrastructure, this electrical infrastructure, and we see that continuing. And with that, I thank you all for being here. I'm sorry about the temperature, and I want to again thank the governor for his support, and I'd like to introduce Governor Murphy.
Thank you, Eddie. I just said, Eddie, that was really well done, and a rightful commercial for NJMEP, and as well as some of our programs that Tim Sullivan and colleagues have initiated through the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. So I want to thank the entire MAC Products team, especially, obviously, President Eddie Rusnow, his father-in-law, his son, the rest of the family. Always good to have good relations with your in-laws. This is yet another good example of why that matters. But I want to thank you all for your warm welcome and for opening your doors for today's pretty historic bill signing. We just, as you probably saw, had the privilege of touring this facility and incredibly impressed by the pride and the precision that goes into everything you all make. I want to thank plant manager Nick Constantino. I'm not sure what happened to Nick. He's here somewhere. And Jeff Ocampo, who's the director of engineering, for taking us around. I want to also thank a handful of very important legislators who were with us today, and we wouldn't be here without them. We're going to hear from a couple of them. Senators Mike Testa and Linda Greenstein. Senator Angela McKnight, bless you. Always an honor to have you here. Assemblywoman Verlina Reynolds-Jackson, all the way up from Trenton. I have to give Michael the big credit here for schlepping, without question, the longest distance. There's a reason we did this at 11 o'clock, Michael, so that you'd speak to us again. He's not here, but I want to thank Majority Leader Lou Greenwald, who was extremely important in getting this over the goal line. Mayor Carol Doyle is with us, so to the team Kearny, thank you for hosting us. And to all the other dignitaries, many of whom are going to get a pen, and I'll give you a shout out at that moment. But it is because of bold bipartisan leadership in the legislature that because of that we are making a huge step to invest in the future of manufacturing in New Jersey. Another big thank you as well to this district's very own Congressman, Outstanding Leader Rob Menendez, who is with us today. And Rob is doing a lot of this very good work parallel to what we're doing in New Jersey down on our behalf in Washington. And finally, I want to thank dear friend, the CEO of the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, Tim Sullivan, and his team, Mary Maples is number 2, and the rest of the squad, for everything they've done. They have done an incredible amount of work over the years supporting the next generation of both growth and innovation in our state. So we're gathered here under the roof of a company that embodies both the strength and the promise of New Jersey's manufacturing sector. A proud home, I might add, to members of the IBEW, where good-paying union jobs have supported families for generations. And, I might add, a shining symbol of our state's economic might. And in just a few minutes, with the stroke of a pen, we will encourage manufacturers around the world to follow MAC Products' lead so they can plant roots in the Garden State and create good-paying, family-supporting jobs for our neighbors all across New Jersey. This legislation marks the single largest investment in manufacturing in New Jersey's history. $500 million. Yeah. Shamelessly fishing for applause. $500 million in tax credits to fuel local investment and long-term job creation. And again, I want to repeat that this has, from moment one, been a bipartisan, all-in effort. With these new businesses and jobs, we will supercharge our state's leadership in advanced manufacturing and at the same time rebuild a stable path to the middle class. And that means something special, as the mayor will attest, extra special here in Kearny, a community that was built by working hands, hands that powered the booming textile mills that put this town on the map and inspired generations of immigrants to pursue their American dream in the Garden State. And over the decades, those hands built not just this state, but this nation, from Kearny's wartime shipyards to its pioneering plastics manufacturing plants. And the story of Kearny is similar to so many former factory towns across the country. It was an engine of industry, and its growth was predicated on the simple promise that generations of workers would be able to find good-paying jobs right in their hometown. But when many of those factories shuttered and jobs were shipped overseas, our working families did not simply lose a paycheck, they lost an entire way of life. In the early 1980s, Western Electric's Kearny Works, just down the road, closed its doors for the last time. One longtime employee told a New York Times reporter that he believed, and I quote this employee, quote, "The days of factories are over. You'll never see them built again." I would reply, not so fast. Because South Kearny is proof that the story of American manufacturing is far from over. It is, in fact, at the dawn of a new beginning. Look no further than right here, a family-owned manufacturer with more than 60 years of history. Today, their technology powers NJ Transit, Amtrak, PATH, and mass transit systems across the country. And Mac Products employs a highly skilled, specialized workforce of a caliber that you will only find in our region. And many of the company's tremendous employees are here with us today. And as Michael pointed out on our tour, many of them have been here for a long time, measured in decades. So many of them, beyond having worked here for decades, for some of you, your adult children have followed in your footsteps and are now pursuing their own careers right here. Your stories prove that the promise of good-paying, family-supporting manufacturing jobs is still very real in New Jersey. And with the next New Jersey manufacturing program, which today's legislation will create, we're going to make sure that more families get to live that promise, not just remember it fondly. This program will incent companies around the globe, especially those facing the risk of new tariffs, to manufacture next-generation products like things like cutting-edge pharmaceuticals, or as Eddie referred to, renewable energy components right here in the Garden State. And beyond attracting global investment, this program will help local companies grow, create jobs, and unleash a more prosperous future for our children. And in our efforts to make that prosperous future a reality, we will always stand by New Jersey's proud reputation as the quintessential organized labor state. We are the first administration in decades to bring manufacturing jobs, and especially union jobs, back to New Jersey. Since we took office, we have created more than 7,000 new manufacturing jobs, reversing a very, very long trend in the opposite direction. At the same time, we've invested in and protected organized labor to help ensure the jobs we create offer a prevailing wage and strong benefits to our workers and their families. And one key to our success over the years has been doubling down on what New Jersey has always been really good at: innovation. New Jersey is recognized around the world as a leader in innovation, and Kearny again knows that well. For example, this is where Teflon was first produced, a proud example of how our state has always been at the cutting edge of science and technology, and that's one of many examples we could cite. So to build a sustainable manufacturing future, we must once again embrace our spirit of innovation, whether by producing microchips that drive the future of transportation, or developing groundbreaking treatments for debilitating illnesses, or revolutionizing robotics to redefine how we work and live. And I could go on. With the most skilled workforce in the world, we have a unique opportunity to not only make our businesses more competitive today, but to prepare them to lead their respective industries for decades to come. And by realizing this vision, we can begin rebuilding career paths that will bring greater stability and opportunity to towns up and down our state, career paths that support families and strengthen communities. And today, we're not just making it easier to build things in New Jersey, we are making it easier for families to build a good life in the Garden State. We were just ranked earlier this week as the top 3 state in America in which to live. That is something that we wear as a badge of honor. So deep thanks for hosting us again, Eddie and family, today for this historic step forward. And I want to introduce Tim Sullivan, but before I bring him up here, who's the Chief Executive Officer of the Economic Development Authority, I think when historians look back on our administration's economic record, I think 3 things will stand out. One is restoration of fiscal responsibility and stability. We got upgraded again this week by Standard & Poor's, which we wear as a huge badge of honor. Secondly, we will have rekindled the startup culture in this state. I think we've had 12 or 13 strategic innovation centers, and they exist for a lot of reasons. The number one reason, in my opinion, is to reboot the startup culture in New Jersey. And then lastly, and most relevantly for today, to rekindle manufacturing, especially advanced manufacturing in the Garden State. As I mentioned, we've created over 7,000 new manufacturing jobs, and we're not done. And at the core of each one of those initiatives and hopefully accomplishments, in addition to many others, is Tim Sullivan. Tim, come on down.
Thank you, Governor. That was incredibly kind. Thank you. I thought you were going to ask me a question when you said you were going to take a pause. You were going to throw me a trivia question that I needed to know the answer to, and I was going to look to Mary to make sure I knew the answer. It's an honor to be here. I'll be brief, both because it's warm and more importantly because you've got important folks to hear from after me. First, I want to thank the Governor, first and foremost, for what you're about to do. Hopefully nobody says anything in the next few minutes that changes your mind. You have the veto stamp in the truck if needed, but hopefully for signing this bill and putting this in motion. But much more importantly, for echoing what you just said, your unflinching and unprecedented commitment to economic growth and prosperity and building that stronger and fairer New Jersey that you've been talking about for going on a decade now and has been in action for 7.5 years in office. Really, really honored to be here and appreciate your leadership and your investment in manufacturing. I want to echo the Governor thanking Congressman Menendez, Senator Testa, Senator Greenstein, Assemblywoman Reynolds-Jackson, Senator McKnight for their leadership, particularly Senator Testa, Senator Greenstein for your leadership on this bill, and in co-chairing the Manufacturing Caucus to keep us focused and honest and energized around manufacturing for all the reasons the Governor articulated. There's a number of important partners here as well. I just want to give a quick shout out to Pete Connolly from the aforementioned MEP, Tom Bracken, Christina Rennick, Chrissy Butis, Chris Emigoltz, all great partners from the business community who help, again, also keep us honest and kick our butts when we need it, so keep us focused on all the right things. This is a really important piece of legislation, and again, as the Governor noted, bipartisan, almost nonpartisan, from the notion that American manufacturing, Jersey manufacturing, ought to be a no-brainer. And I think under this Governor's leadership and really strong support from the Manufacturing Caucus, this is not a new theme. Governor Murphy's made unprecedented investments in manufacturing through the Manufacturing Voucher Program that Eddie mentioned, which has helped hundreds of manufacturers around the state. But with this bill today, we're just getting warmed up. It's going to make the Manufacturing Voucher Program look like the early innings. $500 million of capital deployed to the manufacturing sector. It's going to help create thousands more new manufacturing jobs on top of that first 7,000 or so under this Governor's leadership. And by the way, this is, as with all of our programs, particularly our tax credit programs, pay for performance. If you promise you're going to do something and you do it, you get the tax credits. If you don't get the tax credits. This is money on the table that encourages and incentivizes people to make the investments that they want to make, particularly in this context, manufacturers. I want to give a shout out to my colleagues that are here. Governor mentioned Mary, Paul, Matthew, Cecily, Ivan, Jean back at the ranch working on this program. The governor has talked a lot about running through the tape and using the last however many months and weeks we have left in office judiciously. We're not going to let any grass grow under this program. The specifics on this program will be out for public comment as soon as next week. We hope to have the application. I put a ton of pressure on folks in public. This is no pressure, guys. The governor's sitting right in front of you if you want to whisper to him. We'll hopefully be taking applications by the end of September, making awards this year, getting this capital on the street where it's needed while there is momentum in manufacturing. And that's the last theme I just want to mention. Momentum, and the governor talked about some of the really important metrics that mark Jersey's momentum. And I think whether you look at the manufacturing job stats, whether you look at the credit rating upgrade, which is a huge deal. Hopefully it's getting lots of attention, but when you think about it, a sort of an independent report card from a pretty difficult grader in the rating agencies to get an 8th upgrade, I think really speaks to the state's momentum. You can look at the fact that in June, New Jersey recorded the highest rate of new business formation since we started keeping records on that. So when you think about firing the startup engine, thousands of new businesses coming into existence just in the month of June, 50% higher rate of new business formation since Governor Murphy took office. That's not to say we don't have challenges. That's not to say we don't have things we got to work on. But it is to say that when you have momentum on your side, it's a bit like, having momentum, focusing on economic growth is a bit like staying in shape. You can't say, well, I went to the gym yesterday and all last week and I ate well last week and I'm good for a while. You got to stay on it and you got to stay focused on it. And this manufacturing tax credit, I think, is a really good example of catching the next wave. In this case, manufacturing. Could be the AI tax credit and the AI innovation hubs that Governor Murphy's invested in. Because we've got to stay committed and focused focused on what's coming down the pike, not just what's in the rearview mirror. And I think the future of American manufacturing, the future of New Jersey manufacturing is bright. And importantly, Jersey being really competitive and our governor being as competitive as they come, we don't want just our fair share of the jobs in American manufacturing. We want more than our fair share of the jobs that are going to be created in American manufacturing. This tax credit, this program that Governor Murphy is about to enact into law, I think is a really potent and powerful weapon that creates good paying, lots of union, overwhelmingly family supporting jobs, that focuses on minority, women, veteran-owned businesses, that encourages an inclusive approach to growth as we have for 7.5 years and won't stop. And so I think this really does a lot of things all at once and really brings together so many of the themes that Governor Murphy's focused on since day one, and I am confident will focus on until day last. So thank you, Governor, for signing this bill. Thank you all for being here. Thanks, sponsors, for your sponsorship. And with that, honored to be here. Thank you.
Tim, thank you again to you and the team for your outstanding leadership. We're not here today or on many other days without you and your team. One point that is worth noting, because getting upgraded means you're responsible fiscally and you mind your budgets carefully. The other beauty of this bill, which Michael and Linda know better than anybody, is we're moving money from couple of different buckets. So this is not, as big as this number is, it's not new money, which is a big deal. So we're not spending beyond our means. And again, Tim, deep thanks. We got 3 more outstanding speakers. I mentioned him earlier. We're in his district. He is fighting the fight every single day on behalf of not just his district, but for the people of New Jersey up and down the state. Please help me welcome Congressman Rob Menendez. Love the tips, too.
Well, thank you, Governor Murphy. Thank you to Ed, Eddie, and Henry for hosting us here today at MAC. Incredible presence in the great town of Kearny. Thank you, Mayor Doyle, for being here as well. And I just want to echo what Tim said about this administration. The thing I love about the governor is that he's one of the most competitive people I've ever met. He doesn't want to make New Jersey just the future of the AI economy. He doesn't want to make New Jersey just the manufacturing hub of the Northeast. He doesn't want to make it just the medicine cabinet of the country. He wants New Jersey to win and dominate in every possible way. That's what's driven his administration. That's what's driven his leadership of our incredible state. And I'm so thankful that we had him at the helm for these past 7.5 years. So thank you so much, Governor Murphy. It's really meant the world to all of us. I want to thank the entire team he's assembled, including Tim and his group that's done such incredible work to drive the economic engine here throughout the state. I want to thank this incredible group of legislators who worked on a bipartisan basis to bring more manufacturing to New Jersey. People want government to work. And for government to work, we need to find things that we can work on together, solutions to the challenges that we have not just today, but for the next 10 and 15 years. That's what today is about. $500 million in revenue and funding to drive New Jersey manufacturing. That's going to ensure that New Jersey continues to lead, continues to make good on what it says down in Trenton, which is what New Jersey makes, the world takes. We will continue to do that because of today, because of the leadership of the governor, of the state legislators here today. I want to do my part in Washington to bring federal dollars back to the district, back to New Jersey, so we can continue to lead. MAC will be developing projects for NJ Transit, for Amtrak, for the PATH, to make sure that when we have that modern 21st century mass transit system, it'll be folks here who are delivering the parts to make it work as such. So this is such an incredible day. I'm so thankful that I got to be part of it and look forward to many wins ahead for New Jersey. Thank you all so much.
Rob, thank you, and cannot thank you enough for your being here today and your leadership more generally. Keep up the great work in D.C. on our behalf. I mentioned Lou Greenwald, who's not here. I mentioned Verlina and Angela, who are here. When you have a success story like this, there are lots of mothers and fathers to that success story, so acknowledging all of them. But without question, the gold medal is shared by the next two and final speakers. I mentioned he's come the farthest today, all the way up from Legislative District 1. Please help me welcome an outstanding leader, Senator Michael Tester.
So I stand before each and every one of you extremely grateful today. I want to thank all of the folks associated with MAC, 3 generations, for hosting this today. I want to thank Governor Murphy for his anticipated signing of this landmark legislation. Congressman, you said something. The people want to see government work. This is a prime example of government actually working on a nonpartisan basis, not a bipartisan basis. And people will ask, why are you involved in this, Senator Testa? And I said, I stand before you extremely grateful. I've been blessed to be the co-chair of the Manufacturing Caucus, along with another great legislator and Senator Greenstein. And I can tell you that I started work on a bill very similar to this with John Kennedy when he was still at NJMEP, and now he's at EDA. So I have a lot of people to thank. First and foremost, obviously, I thank the governor. I'm thanking my co-chair and co-prime sponsor of the bill, Senator Greenstein. I want to thank Assemblyman Leader Greenwald. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my brother from Legislative District 1, Assemblyman Antoine McClellan, who worked very hard along with us on this bill. And I can tell you he was not able to be here today, and he really wanted to be able to be here, so I have to send his regrets. I want to thank Peter Connolly at NJMEP. I want to thank Tom Bracken at the State Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank Christina Renner, who's also a proud graduate of Vineland High School, where I went to Vineland High School, from the Chamber of Commerce of Southern New Jersey, Chrissy Budis, and obviously, NJBIA with Chris Emmingholtz. I don't want to forget anybody, and all the other legislators that are here and everybody who's here from the EDA. We talk about jobs an awful lot, but a woman in Atlantic City, when I was talking about manufacturing, really educated me. And she came up to me after a speech I gave and said, my 2 sons don't need jobs. I said, what do you mean? They don't need jobs? What are you talking about? She said, my 2 boys need careers. And I take a look at people that work at MAC, and they're here for over 2 decades. And I look at manufacturing. They are careers with extreme upward mobility. And I look at places like the County College of Morris, who are doing a fantastic job in educating young people for advanced manufacturing. I look at, that's the North Pole, by the way, of advanced manufacturing. The South Pole of advanced manufacturing now is at the CC Tech in Cumberland County. Thank you again, Governor, for signing that piece of legislation, which gave them $7.65 million. Again, manufacturing is important, and Lord knows the governor and I don't agree on a whole lot, but we're friends, and we respect each other. And one of the aspects that Governor Murphy has knocked it out of the park is in advanced manufacturing. Otherwise, we would not be here today. And you think about $500 million in tax credits. And Tim, you're the number cruncher here. What that means as far as an economic multiplier to those industries that are going to qualify and have to deliver. And that was a great point that you made. A great point that they're going to have to deliver on those promises they make to qualify for those tax credits. That sign on the bridge, and I have it hanging in my office, lit up in NJMEP colors, thank you, Peter Connolly, that says, "Trenton makes, the world takes." This bill will go a long way to making sure that means something once again and remains meaning something 50, 60, 75 years to come. And this bill goes a long way to ensure that. I'd be remiss if I didn't say that, this on behalf of my Assemblyman Antoine McClellan. I think about our underserved communities, and he's educated me so much as a member of the Black Legislative Caucus, and how this bill will provide career opportunities for so many individuals who are citizens of those underserved communities. And they're going to have great paying union jobs that are able to support them and their families without having 4 years of college debt. And companies like Mack have been walking the walk for over 60 years. And so many of the companies throughout the state of New Jersey. Now, I was told I was only allowed to speak 3 to 5 minutes. Brevity has never been my strong suit. I apologize for that. I'm going to wrap this up pretty quickly, but I just want to say thank you. And Congressman, thank you for welcoming me to your district. To all the folks at the MAC, thank you for hosting this. And Governor Murphy, a sincere, heartfelt thank you to you and your commitment to advanced manufacturing and to your anticipated signing of this landmark legislation. God bless you all.
Michael, that was awesome. Thank you. I love the line job versus career. This means so much. And I love the North Pole, South Pole, because we care about this entire state from the very top to the very bottom. And I would echo something Michael said. We're not going to agree on a whole list of stuff. People would be shocked how close the two of us are privately. And that's, I hope, a good lesson that just because you disagree on a bunch of stuff doesn't mean you can't find common ground in fellowship. Amen. Again, thanks for schlepping, and give Antoine a hug for us. Last but not least, she is, as Michael mentioned, the co-chair of the Manufacturing Caucus. She's been an outstanding legislator for a long, long time. She's a dear friend, a great leader. Please help me welcome to close us out, Senator Linda Greenstein.
I guess you can hear me. This is a wonderful day to be here in New Jersey. We do a lot of legislation, but we don't always do a piece of legislation as wonderful as this one. So I want to thank everybody that Mike thanked. He really went through that list easily and quickly. Of course, the governor, of course, Tim and the EDA and all the people here, congressmen, and my fellow legislators. And Mike Testa. It's been wonderful to work with him on this bill. I'm very glad we've been co-chairs of this caucus for a long time. And I do want to thank John Kennedy and Peter Connolly for the years of kind of teaching me about this. I actually learned a lot about it from my late husband, who was in the manufacturing field. And, you know, I really have enjoyed working in this area. And so thanks to each and every one of you, and of course to the Mack Company for hosting us here today. and getting to see the way manufacturing has been so important to New Jersey. I remember the first time I went to I guess it was an MEP meeting, and I truly didn't realize that manufacturing was as prevalent in the state of New Jersey as it is. And I was shocked to hear about the large numbers of companies and all the different things that are being manufactured right here in New Jersey. So I think we can serve as a national model because we don't have to really bring it back. We have it here. And this program will help us to really keep up the great work that New Jersey does in manufacturing. So thanks to each and every one of you for having us today. And I look forward to seeing this bill in action. Thank you. Thanks, Governor.
Linda, thank you. And I think you make a very good point that the man on the street in this state doesn't understand how important manufacturing is to this state already, never mind what we're doing today to take it to another level. I also meant to echo something that Michael said, I think quoting Antoine, and I know Verlina and Angela know this. This bill has extra juice if it's a women, minority, veteran-owned firm. It has extra juice if you're in an opportunity zone. So there's more. We deliberately, again, to Tim and Mary and their team and to the legislative leadership, that's not by accident. That is to make sure that we are directing the money to where it's needed the most. Incredibly honored, again, Eddie, to you and your family and to all your colleagues for hosting us today, to Michael and Linda, to Tim and Rob, to the other legislators and dignitaries. As they say in Hollywood, it's a wrap. Let's sign this sucker. Come on down. Okay, here we go. First of all, a money shot where I can't see a thing, but I told people looking up. Look at you. So this is Assembly Bill number 5687, sponsored by a couple of folks you've heard, whose names you've heard today. Majority Leader Lou Greenwald, Assemblyman Antoine McClellan, Assemblywoman Verlina Reynolds-Jackson to my right, all in the Assembly and the Senate. We heard from each of them, Senator Michael Testa and Senator Linda Greenstein, and a very cool list of co-sponsors from both sides of the aisle. And the bill is described as establishes Next New Jersey manufacturing program to incentivize in-state manufacturing investments and job creation. I want to echo one other thing that Michael said. It's $500 million of incentives. That is going to be leveraged by many, many, many multiples of private capital investment, and the economic impact will be furthermore beyond that leverage. So we've got a whole lot of pens to give out. Incredibly important moment. First one up is our host, Eddie Rustow, the president of MAC. No, I'll do a bunch of those afterwards, if that's all right. And then, Eddie, can you give this to your son and this one to your father-in-law? Both of you guys deserve it. How's that? Cue huge lesson. Again, I've said this earlier, stay in good shape in relations with your in-laws. Lessons I've learned today.
Your son-in-law should have taken a vacation already. You've only been here 2 months.
From Legislative District 1, Senator Michael Testa. Thank you. You still the 14th? Still 14. Legislative District 14. To my right, from the 15th, Trenton, Rolita, Reynolds, Jackson. Angela, you up here? Okay. Let's hear it from standing up and standing tall, Senator Angela McDowell. Is the mayor with me? Okay, Mayor Carol Doyle from the great town of Kearny. Okay. Congressman Rob Menendez. This shouldn't take another hour or two, so everyone can relax. The Chief Executive Officer of the NJ Economic Development Authority, Tim Sullivan. I need you for 10 seconds. This is 13, right? The aforementioned representing NJMEP, Peter Connolly, CEO. Representing the NJBIA, its Chief Government Affairs Officer, Chris Emenholz. Thank you. Congratulations. Christina, you still here? All the way up from South Jersey, representing the Chamber of Commerce of Southern New Jersey, Highland High's very best, Christina Reynolds. Christy, you still there?
I'm here.
Christy Dudas is here, CEO of the Healthcare Institute of New Jersey. Okay. He was also mentioned earlier, a guy that we've been working with for all the time we've been here, the President and CEO of the New Jersey Chamber of Commerce, Tom Bracken. Peter, is Kennedy here? Can you give one to him? Do you mind? Let's hear it for John Kennedy, former head of the NJEP. Thank you for that. Okay, Mayor, I already gave you yours. I want to give the plant manager of Mac Products, Nick Constantino. I've also got one for Jeff Ocampo, Director of Engineering for Mac Products. That's it. I missed anyone? Am I good? Any of the folks from the press? Actually, I got a couple more here for you in the box. I got to put a date. And as Tim Sullivan said, this is going to get fast-tracked ASAP. So I always say this, but this is literally the case. I'm proud to say this is now the law of the land. Come on in for a team shot here, guys. Yep. Thank you all.
Hey, you got to get one pick.